gentlemen, welcome to this evening's quarterfinals debate. My name is Layla Shuttleworth and I am the chairman of this debate. The timekeeper is Jack Wiles. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators, who are Mr. Aveman, Miss Alicia and Miss Shuju. The topic of this debate is that corflute posters used in elections in South Australia should be banned. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Parkside Primary School. The negative team seated to my left is from Nazareth Catholic College. The speaking time for this debate is 3 minutes. A single warning bell will sound 1 minute before the speaking time, and a double bell will sound at the speaking time. Please ensure that all your mobile phones are switched off. I declare this debate open and I call upon the first affirmative speaker, Kitty Blossom.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that corflute posters used during elections in South Australia should be banned. We define the topic as corflute meaning a temporary sign or poster made out of corrugated plastic sheeting, elections meaning a formal and organised choice by vote of a person in political office or other position. South Australia meaning a section of Australia near the south end of the country. And finally, banned meaning officially or legally prohibiting something. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is unquestionably true. Today I'll be talking to you about how corflute posters are a huge distraction for drivers on the road, and posting on social media is a better way to promote candidates for young voters. Our second speaker will be talking to you about how corflute posters are extremely expensive and a waste of taxpayers' money, and finally, how these posters cannot break down easily. Our third speaker will rebut in some of our team's case. My first point tonight focuses on the fact that election corflutes are a distraction when driving. ScienceDirect.com states that driver inattention and distraction are 2 of the most critical factors for road safety worldwide. Not only are they a visual eyesore on the roadside, but they are also posing a risk to safe driving. During election times, there are generally corflute posters on every Stobie pole on every busy major roadway. As a result, drivers will be increasingly distracted during these election times. According to Break.org, there are approximately 20 to 50 million car crashes a year worldwide. How many car crashes could be avoided if we just banned these election corflutes? My second point is that they are an ineffective way to engage with young voters. Young adults and potential voters are much more likely to access information and news via their phone and social media, such as Snapchat, Instagram and TikTok. AACAP.org claims that social media plays a big role in teen culture, and that 90% of teens aged 13 to 18 use social media. Political parties need to recognise that there is a young, untapped generation of potential voters. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Generation Z, which includes 10 to 24-year-olds, make up 18.2% of the Australian population. Therefore, political parties such as Labor and Liberal could engage with young people by social media campaigns instead of worthless corflute posters. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we, the affirmative team, strongly believe that these corflute posters are worthless, ineffectively and dangerous. The Australian population would be much better served by banning these corflutes. As Roald Dahl once said, somewhere inside of us is the power to change the world. Thank you.
I call upon the first negative speaker, Marley Morris.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that corflute posters used during elections in South Australia should be banned. We agree with the definition given by the affirmative team, however the negative team and I believe that this statement is false. Today as the first speaker, I'll be talking to you about corflutes which create awareness to the mass population that an election is occurring, therefore ensuring maximum voter participation and helps voters avoid fines. I will also be talking to you about how corflutes are important for small political parties aiming to make a presence in the community and in politics. Our second speaker will be talking about how corflutes enable all people to have access to information about the election, and she will also mention how old corflutes have many environmental benefits after the election, and our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team's case. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that corflute posters are a distraction. They do offer an online alternative. Not everyone has access to online information, and that online messages could be lost in the false information circulating the internet. She also said that it is ineffective for young people. This is wrong because many people of the age to vote can drive, meaning that they can see the posters on the road. I will be discussing 2 points today. My first point is that corflutes are absolutely integral for small political parties trying to make a presence in the community and in Parliament. Not all political campaigns have enough funding for airtime, television ads and internet presences like other prominent parties such as Labor and Liberal. According to the Australian Electoral Commission, there are over 140 registered political parties in Australia, meaning that parties such as the Animal Justice Party, which don't have much funding, struggle against larger political parties when campaigning. According to Simon Whitlock, interview with political media consultant, outlined that Frank Pangello in Parliament debate said that if we don't have corflutes, it is an attack on democracy and fairness of the election process, which discriminates against smaller political parties and independents. Therefore, according to the Greens Party representative, smaller independents and campaigns rely on low-tech marketing like corflutes to get their face and identity known to their community prior to both state and federal elections. Now to my second point, on how corflutes create awareness about an upcoming election and political parties and campaigns, which ensures maximum participation and helps voters avoid fines. As voting is an important part of our Australian democracy, we should constantly be reminded that there is an election going on and we should remind ourselves who to vote for. Corflutes are perfect for this, so people aren't fined. According to 7news.com and ECSA, you can receive a fine up to $170 if you don't vote. Do you want to fine? I don't think so. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we should definitely keep corflutes because of how useful they are and informative to the various political parties and to the people of Australia. Thank you very much.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Miller Cosby.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that corflute posters used during elections in South Australia should be banned. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that corflutes would create awareness of who to vote for. This is false, as corflutes are not the only way to publicise electoral party members. According to the Parliament of Australia, the amount of election spending undertaken by the parties has significantly changed, with increased spending on social media. Our first speaker has already stated that corflute posters are extremely distracting for drivers and how it would be beneficial to post your corflute posters on social media. Today I will be speaking to you about how corflutes are extremely expensive, are a waste of taxpayers' money, and finally how corflutes are very difficult to recycle. My first point tonight is that corflutes are extremely expensive and are a waste of taxpayer money. Officeworks prints A1 election corflute signs for $9.54 and is around the same price as other printing companies. The CanberraTimes.com states that every election cycle, thousands of corflutes are printed. This is at least $9,540 plus delivery costs and installation costs. The government-funded Australian Electoral Commission contributes to political party election spending, which is taxpayer funds. These funds need to be spent on other essential government services instead of expensive corflutes. My final point for tonight is that corflutes are very difficult to recycle. According to greens.org, Corflute Creativity, most recycling facilities cannot accept corflute plastic. The recycling process for corflutes is different from most standard packaging plastics, and most facilities are not set up for the required process. South Australia has led the nation to ban single-use plastic bags. This is an opportunity for South Australia to once again become leaders on the war on waste. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we strongly believe that corflute should be banned in South Australia. As Adelaide Minister David Spears said, cancel the corflute. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Audrey Sanpet.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that corflute posters used during the elections in South Australia should be banned. We as the negative team disagree with this statement. Before I introduce my team's points, I'd like to address the affirmative team's case. The second affirmative speaker has said that corflutes are expensive to print. According to the Greens website, old corflutes are able to be taken to certain places around South Australia and have new messages reprinted on their unused side. This costs up to $12 less than printing entirely new ones. They also said that they're very hard to recycle. According to the Greens website, there are multiple points around South Australia that have facilities that specifically recycle corflutes. Now some of my points. Firstly, our first speaker has spoken to you about how corflutes maximise participation and how corflutes create diversity in the parliament by allowing small parties to deliver their views. Today, as your second speaker, I will be talking to you about 2 points. Firstly, that corflutes ensure equity and of access to information in elections, and secondly, that corflutes are incredibly versatile and that in fact they have some environmental benefits. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team's case. My first point is that corflutes are important for equity in elections.
corflutes are the only medium that everyone has access to, and ensure that everyone has the information about candidates running for their state or electorate. They allow all people from all parts of society to participate in democracy. According to NielsenInsights.com, only 17% of Australians have a TV, and only 20% do not have social media access. These Australians can still participate in democracy through the medium of corflutes. Additionally, corflutes combat misinformation and confirmation bias. My second point is that corflutes are incredibly versatile, and their use has environmental benefits. We personally call Vivid Designs a company that creates corflutes for elections, and they said that corflutes are made of polyethylene, which is fully recyclable. On the Greens Party website, they also say that corflutes can be reprinted. ABC News published an article in 2021 outlining how old corflutes have been made into rain protection for beehives, homeless shelters during the wet season in Darwin, and as gateways for wombat holes and to help prevent mange. Corflutes are not bad for the environment unless people make them so. In fact, they may even be good. So in conclusion, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, we should not ban corflutes, as these posters are as much a part of elections as democracy sausages, polling booths and election night parties. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Zara Shadowless.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that corflute posters used during elections in South Australia should be banned. We, the Affirmative team, believe that this statement is undeniably true. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that corflute posters give small political parties a chance to promote themselves. This is false, because this might sound like a fair point to raise, but it is not practical, and ultimately it's a flawed argument. They have the very expensive cost of printing these posters, and putting them up around an entire electorate is actually a blocker for these people. Instead, it favours established candidates or parties who are backed by big, wealthy political people. There's also the time-consuming need for volunteers to spend many hours going up and down ladders just to put them up. It doesn't make sense. The negative team has also talked to you about how recycling or reusing these posters for other needs, such as reprinting new texts on them. This is a sweeping statement, and once again, not practical. There will always be thousands and thousands of these signs not being repurposed. Either way, lots and lots of these posters are going to end up in landfill. Recycling might sound like a good idea, but surely it's better to prevent unnecessary plastics and materials from entering our communities in the first place. The opposing team has also tried to tell you that corflutes can be recycled. However, the question of waste is actually the most compelling argument against using them. An Irish campaign to get rid of these posters in their 2020 election highlighted what they're made of, and it can take hundreds of years to break down. A recent ABC News report also said that these corflute signs often get tangled up in the local council's recycling machinery as well. Worse yet, and according to the Northern Territory Recycling Solutions boss, Dean Caden, the machines can sometimes mistakenly identify them as cardboard. This contaminates the cardboard recycling and causes all sorts of problems. Our first speaker has already talked to you about how these corflute posters are incredibly distracting for drivers on the road, leading to more car accidents in local communities. And they also said that putting up these posters on the streets wouldn't attract any younger adults, such as new voters, and it would be better for campaigning to just put it up on social media. Our second speaker has already said that these corflute posters are extremely expensive for something you will only use once. They also said that these corflute posters are almost impossible to break down. These posters are going to be with us for centuries still without breaking down. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I'd like to quote English writer Ross Savage. She says, "It cannot be right to manufacture billions of objects that are used for a matter of minutes and then are with us for centuries. Let's ban these corflute posters that are not of much use, don't break down easily, and clog up our planet." Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Emily.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that corflute posters used during elections in South Australia should be banned. We, the negative team, believe that this statement is false. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you about how the corflute posters are distracting for drivers. This is wrong because there are many other distractions in cars. I'm sure most of you would have experienced driving with children in the car and phones in the car. That can't lead to anything good either. She also stated that corflute posters shouldn't be used because there are different alternatives such as using social media. As my second speaker stated, 20% of Australians don't have social media, meaning 20% won't know about the elections. She also rebutted that there are other ways to advertise elections. Yes, but corflutes are on main roads that have lots of cars and foot traffic. The second affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that corflutes are expensive. This is wrong because we spoke to Hannah from the Greens Senate and she said, yes, they are expensive, but the Greens reuse them and donate them after they aren't as good anymore. She also said that corflute posters are difficult to recycle. We also spoke to Cortex, which is a corflute poster making company in Melbourne, and they said that they have their main warehouse, but they also have a recycling warehouse where they use all of their old corflute posters that the politicians send back to them, and they reuse them into other things such as crates and other boxes and stuff. The third affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that posters for smaller parties isn't good. This is wrong because how are these smaller parties with good ideas for our future going to become known? She also stated that the corflute posters can't be recycled. Yes, they can. Polyethylene is fully recyclable. Our first speaker spoke to you about how corflute posters let voters know when the elections are on and who the politicians are. They will also ensure that there are minimal fines so that everyone gets to cast their vote. She also said that how corflutes are important for small political parties trying to make a presence in the community and in Parliament. This is important because without these smaller parties will receive hardly any votes. The major parties such as Labor and Liberal have many ways to promote their politicians, but small parties such as the Green don't have many supporters to vote for them. Our second speaker spoke to you about how corflutes create equity to information during the election campaigns. She mentioned about how many people do not have access to online political messages. As already stated by our second speaker, Audrey, majority of Australia doesn't have social media or TVs, meaning that if we were to remove corflutes, many people would not have any access to information about the election. She also stated that corflutes are incredibly versatile and have environmental benefits beyond the election. She used the example of old corflutes being made into homeless shelters, beehive covers, and into burrow flaps that help protect wombats from mange. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, these signs are important. Do you really want to be fined for something as simple as voting? I didn't think so. Thank you.
I'll read this evening's chairman's notices. We are delighted to announce that the grand finals will be held in the House of Assembly Chamber, Parliament House, on Saturday, 24th of September 2022. This following statement is directed for Year 10s and Seniors if you'd like to be an adjudicator for primary school debates in 2023. Adjudicating is a great community service and will help to improve your own debating. See the information desk after this for more information about how to sign up. Topic and side information for the semi-finals will be available on the Debating SA website from tomorrow morning. Please be sure to check your side and debate time information carefully. Debates will be held here at the same venue next week. All semi-final debates will also be held here at Nazareth again next week. We'll now wait for the adjudicators to finalise the result.
Thank you.
Did you have a feeling about that? Did you help that when you were in class and you were in sitting there with full of I find it really interesting when we caught a boat over the finger and over like snorkeling on things like that. And then on the way back, all of a sudden everyone on the boat was like, whales jumping into the water and breaking the water. That was really bad. What is that? And the whiting of that. Yes. But not the whales. Not the whales. Yes, young whales jumping out the boat. So we were on the boat going back to the mainland, and if there was a boat around the river, that's when you get your camera. Yeah, it was pretty rocky. Yes, I would have been.
Everyone just enjoys the moment, just that moment.
You never forget stuff like that.
No, they don't.
I invite a representative of the adjudication panel to come forward to announce the result.
Thank you everyone for being here, and first of all, congratulations to both teams for getting to the quarterfinals. It is definitely an achievement in such a massive division to get to this stage. The standard of debate was very high, and I'd like to commend both teams on the standard of presentation. As a representative of the panel, we came to our decisions independently, and today's decision was a split decision of 2-1. As each of the three adjudicators arrived independently, we will not give individual feedback. Overall, we have awarded the debate to the affirmative team because they have addressed the negative team's case more compellingly, while also presenting a nevertheless strong and diverse case. We have also decided to award the Division Debating Award to Zara Shuttleworth.
member of the runner-up team to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you guys, everyone, for coming tonight. Adjudicators, you guys were great. And team members and obviously opposing team, thank you guys for such a great debate and congratulations for going through. Thank you.
I call upon a member of the winning team to second that vote of thanks.
I'd like to thank the opposing team for creating such a great competitive debate. Thanks to the audience for taking time out of your day to come and watch us, and the adjudicators for judging this debate tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare this debate closed.